Philippines when you were there? You were
Yeah,
still?
just trying to get the place settled down.
So there were still Japanese in the Philippines?
Oh yeah, they were. In fact, started in Lae, New Guinea, went up to a place called Hollandia. New Guinea was divided in two parts. The eastern half was controlled by the Australians and English. The western half was Dutch. They're called Dutch New Guinea. Now they're called Papua. And Hollandia was in the Dutch part. It now has I forget what the name of it is. The Indonesians now own it, and they gave it a different name. But the Americans held from a big base of the Navy at one end and the Army at the other, and along about 35-mile strip past a big airdrome, to another bay where they brought in aviation fuel. Everything between there and the ocean was still held by the Japanese at the end of the war. Every once in a while we'd be driving along, here comes some poor sad-looking guy with frayed clothes, no shoes, and
He'd been living in the jungle.
they've been living on, gone native they called them. But they had whole groups of them. You could see their campfires at night up there.
And
These guys that come down and surrender, so you let them in the Jeep with you and take them down to the POA, prisoner of war camp, point them up the road and turn them loose.
So you never had to fight them?
No. We got shot at, but we never fought back. Because we couldn't see what they were shooting at us. But you realize what percentage of the armed forces do you think actually were combat personnel?
I don't know.
Take a guess.
20.
You got a guess?
30%?
45%?
Your number is what?
45%?
25% is about right. Were combat. The rest of us were support. Because you don't want to be out there without support. And we're the ones that got them the food, their ammunition, their guns, their transportation, whatever they needed. And sometimes you ended up right up there with them, and sometimes you didn't.
Engineers, you were an engineer, right?
Yeah.
But engineers typically had a pretty difficult job. They were the first ones to get...
Depended. The most difficult one I had were looking for a water source up in that mountain range where the Japanese were, and they didn't like us being up there. But they didn't want to get anybody mad at them either. They fired off a couple at us. Closest I came to getting hit by anything was a friendly fire. Where the ship run along our coast above our camps and below our campsite. You know, and when big cannons fire, there's a flash of flame and a big puff of smoke goes that way. And we're watching, they're firing at something out there, I couldn't see what. Next thing I know, instead of smoke that way, it's just they called the wrong battery and fired one right at us.
Jeez.
I could hear it go over, but I never felt it. So.
Dad was at San Lo, which was the breakout point for in July 1944, and friendly fire, the smoke that was supposed to tell where the bombers were to bomb blew over the good guys.
Yeah.
And so now they got bombed, and 600 American soldiers were killed
by friendly fire.
By friendly fire.
Yeah. It happened. Civilians got it the same way. The war is hell, not just for the guys fighting it, but for anybody else involved in the area.
Did you give your dad said he remembered giving his, are they called sea rations?
Yeah.
To little kids.
They stand outside our mess line and beg for the garbage, but I was in the Philippines. Found out that a couple of them weren't eating it, they were taking it home to slop their pigs. But, yeah, a cigarillo, Joe, they always wanted a cigarette.
When did you get sent back to the United States?
It was, I think the 5th of January, 46.
So you were in the Philippines for 2 years?
Oh, no, I was there from August of 45 till January of 46. What they have is what I call rotation. And you got a certain number of points for how many months you've been in service, a point for each of that. You got another one for each one overseas. You got another one for each one in combat. I had almost 11 months in combat zones. But, and then I had points for other things. But and you accumulate your points, and guys with the most points went home first.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to sit there and wait. And the guys that had been in combat down there for 2.5 years had a lot of points built up. And it was right to get them home first.
And when did you meet, it's Peggy, right? When did you meet your wife?
UC after I got back home.
And you were on the GI Bill?
Yeah, well, thank goodness for that. But,
And you went to engineering school at UC?
yeah, well, architectural. It was engineering school when I started. It was independent when I left.
Mr. Nyland was in the engine. Did you know him? Dave Nyland?
No, I know the name, but
He was head of the engineering department at UC.
let's see, when I started in 41, applied arts was part of the College of Engineering and Commerce. When I got back in 45, 46, it had broken away and was on its own, so we didn't have any connection with the engineering school after that. I remember the name, but I didn't know.
Yeah. What was your rank when you left the Army?
I came back and did 3 more years during Korean War, but I never went over. So, I ended up as a tech sergeant, or sergeant first class, which is 3 chevrons and 2 rockers.
Where were you for the 3
As
years?
I tell the officers around there, they know darn good and well the sergeants ran the Army. And you said what?
And you were never went to Korea. You were just
No. Our unit was too messed up to do anything with it.
Do you remember like the day when the war ended? Do you have any specific
Yes.
memories or experiences from that?
Yeah, I was on a troop ship going to Okinawa. And I was sitting up on the top deck reading a book. And they came on with this, "Now hear this," which is a Navy way of getting your attention. And the captain came on. They said, "I want to tell you that Japanese have surrendered." And there was a big cheer and then silence. I wrote a letter to the editors of the New York Times about that, and they printed it. I've been published in the Times.
Well, why was there silence? Why was there cheering in that silence?
We're going home.
Oh, yeah. So that meant that you didn't have to fight anymore.
Right. Okinawa, Japan, it was all over.
I
We're
read
going
that-
home.
Peirson, I read that if we had to invade the home of Japan, that it would cost 1 million American casualties.
Well, I know that they're still issuing the Purple Hearts that were minted for the invasion. That's how many. I've heard anywhere from 500,000. Well, casualties are deaths and any kind of injury or wound. I imagine 1 million would do it, you know.
And that Truman had no hesitant thoughts about dropping the
No.
bombs. He knew that was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I tell my kids, you can thank the bomb or you wouldn't be here. I probably never would have met my wife and if I'd even gotten home. D+1 is sort of tight. There was a book out, I don't know, quite a few years ago called Burning Mountain. And it was written about what would have happened if they hadn't surrendered. And it was written by a guy who had spent years in Japan in his youth, up through college age even. And he knew the country. And he said, if we invade, they aren't going to quit.
No.
So this was about what happened when they didn't drop the bomb
Right.
and the fight went on.
Right.
But since it's out of print, you'll never know. The answer was that eventually they dropped the bomb anyway. They had to stop it somehow. So they're your casualties of war that are important.
Anybody else have anything? Thank you very much, Peirson, for coming in and speaking to
Okay.
us. I
Glad to
appreciate
do
it
it.
very much.